He spent 11 years believing black women were the reason his empire fell apart. But when he found her alone in his office past midnight, fixing a mistake that could have destroyed him, Jae-min Park realized the one truth he never saw coming. She wasn't his downfall. She was his salvation. Welcome back, my beautiful family and friends. If you're hooked in and you're ready to enjoy this story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Now, let us begin. Los Angeles always seemed more honest after midnight. The city's glossy daytime perfection melted into something raw, where neon lights buzzed, secrets breathed, and sin stood exposed under the orange street lamps. From the top floor of Park International Holdings, the world below looked small, almost manageable. But for Jamin Park, the world had never been manageable. Not since the day a black woman with a federal badge shattered his family. He didn't dream anymore. Not peacefully. Most nights, sleep came like a thief, stealing minutes rather than granting hours. When he did sleep, he saw the cuffs snapping around his cousin's wrists, the humiliation on his father's face as the FBI raided their warehouse, and Agent Dana Reeves standing in the doorway, tall, sharp-eyed, and merciless. Her voice still echoed in the back of his mind. Justice always finds you, Mr. Park. He'd been 22, too young to understand betrayal fully, too old not to feel it permanently. Since then, he stayed away from black women entirely. Too dangerous, too unpredictable, too close to that wound he never let heal. So when the board insisted on hiring a new financial analyst, Aaliyah Carter, he didn't just protest. He almost shut down the entire hiring pipeline. But they pushed back. She's the only one who can fix the exposure in our holding accounts, they argued. We've already offered her the contract. He remembered the silence in the room, the cold stiffness riding through his chest. No, he'd said, find someone else. It's done, Jay. She starts Monday. And that was how the woman who would turn his entire world inside out walked straight into his glass-walled office 3 days later. The morning she arrived, the office buzzed with an energy he didn't like. Park Holdings was known for its controlled, clinical atmosphere. Employees moved with precision, spoke in low tones, and avoided asking unnecessary questions. But that day, whispers floated between cubicles like drifting smoke. She's beautiful. Did you see her credentials? Is he going to fire her on sight? Does he even know she's black? That last question cut deeper than the rest. She entered with quiet confidence, wearing a burgundy blouse tucked into a high-waisted pencil skirt. Her dark skin seemed to glow under the soft office lighting, and her hair, coiled and soft, framed her face like it was made for elegance. She carried a folder under her arm, not clutching it nervously, but holding it like she knew exactly who she was. She gave him a polite smile. Good morning, Mr. Park. I know who you are. He cut in, not looking up long enough to let the smile reach him. Your office is down the hall. Emily will brief you. Her expression didn't falter. No anger, no confusion, just a small nod of understanding. All right, let me know if there's anything specific you need me to prioritize. He said nothing. She turned and walked away, her heels clicking in soft, composed beats. He didn't watch her leave. He absolutely did not. But he heard his heart thump harder than usual. Aaliyah felt the weight of the building before she reached her office. Park Holdings wasn't like her previous workplaces. This place was too perfect, too quiet, too polished. The marble floors gleamed to a mirror sheen. The walls smelled faintly of sandalwood, and the employees moved like they were afraid of stepping outside invisible lines. Most importantly, the CEO, her new boss, had looked at her like she was a ghost from his past. Not hostile, not racist. Something else. Something tighter, heavily guarded. What did they get me into? She whispered to herself as she sat at her desk. She'd taken the job because she needed the salary badly. Her mother's medical bills were piling up. Her younger brother was starting college, and she'd spent 2 long working jobs that underpaid her brilliant mind. Park Holdings had offered the kind of salary that didn't just pay bills, it changed lives. She refused to mess it up, even if her boss seemed like he hated the sight of her. By noon, Jamin had convinced himself the day would go back to normal. She'd be another employee, easy to avoid, easy to keep at a distance. But then came the meeting. She entered quietly, taking a seat at the far end of the long wooden table. Executives filled the room, flipping through spreadsheets and murmuring numbers. When the discussion turned to the financial exposure in their subsidiary accounts, everyone started deflecting blame. It came from old coding errors. No, it traces back to the merger last year. Someone in compliance dropped the ball. Then she spoke. Actually, it's none of those. The entire room turned to her. Her voice was soft, smooth, but confident. It's a pattern, a deliberate one. Someone inside is adjusting the transfers at consistent intervals. Jamin's eyes lifted. Sharp. Cutting. What are you implying? She met his gaze without flinching. That someone is setting you up, Mr. Park. The room fell silent. His jaw clenched. She wasn't wrong. He wasn't about to admit that. Show me, he said. She stood and clicked her tablet, projecting detailed charts onto the screen. The room held its breath as she broke down the exposure with surgical precision. When she finished, one of the executives, Mr. Vaughn, let out a shaky breath. This is impressive. This is impossible, another muttered. Jamin's stare lingered on her hands. Steady calm, no fear. He hated how that stirred something he thought he'd buried. When the meeting ended, he spoke curtly. You stay. She paused, surprised but composed, as the others filed out. He walked around the table, stopping a few feet from her. Why did you say it like that? Someone is setting me up. You don't even know the structure of this company. I don't need to, she replied. The numbers tell the truth. And they're telling you that someone wants you to look like you're losing control. His breath stilled. No one outside his inner circle ever dared talk to him like that. No one inside it did either. He didn't thank her. He couldn't. Go back to work, he said instead. I'll review your findings. She nodded, gathered her things, and left. His eyes followed her for a moment longer than they should have. The exposure she mentioned gnawed at him all afternoon. She was right. That was the problem. She wasn't supposed to be right. Not her. He had built his entire worldview around avoiding anything connected to the kind of woman who once destroyed him. And now she was threatening that entire system just by existing. He spent the rest of the day trying to pretend she didn't intrude on his thoughts. That night, he left around 9, telling himself he needed fresh air. He didn't sleep. The next night, he returned to the office later than usual, irritation already pulsing behind his eyes. He hated when his mind felt out of his control. And that damn woman had lodged herself exactly there, between logic and memory. He stepped out of the elevator with a sigh. But the building wasn't empty. A soft light glowed under the door of the accounting wing. He frowned. Everyone left by 7. Everyone except. He pushed the door open quietly. Aaliyah sat alone at her desk, glasses low on her nose, hunched over stacks of printed financial trails. Her hair was tied back loosely, a few curls escaping around her face. There were small bags under her eyes, but her focus was razor sharp. His stomach tightened unexpectedly. What are you doing here? He asked. She jumped slightly, turning her chair. Oh, Mr. Park. I didn't realize anyone else was still here. That didn't answer my question. She straightened. I found something. I think someone tried to alter today's ledger. I'm fixing it. His gaze sharpened. You saw something you shouldn't have. I know, and you're just sitting here. She offered a small, tired smile. Running won't solve it. He blinked. People ran from him. People hid from him. People never smiled at him. Not like that. Not without fear. She gathered a stack of printed sheets, walked toward him, and held them out. I corrected the transfers, and I rerouted the audit trails so it won't trace back to your main accounts. Whoever's doing this is trying to make you look sloppy. I covered it. He stared at her. Hard. Why? Because, she said softly, I don't know what you're fighting, but I know someone is trying to sabotage you, and no one deserves to be blindsided. He couldn't speak. For 11 years, the image of Dana Reeves had burned in his mind like a warning sign. He told himself he hated black women because they brought destruction. But here was one, the first one he'd allowed near his world in a decade, standing in front of him, protecting him, seeing him. It stunned him in a way nothing else ever had. A moment stretched between them, quiet, electric. She lowered her hand. You don't have to fear me, Mr. Park. He inhaled sharply. She walked past him, gathering her bag. "Good night," she whispered. He remained frozen long after she left. For the first time in 11 years, the ice he'd built around his heart cracked. Reflection, question, and CTA. If you were in Aaliyah's place, facing a cold, dangerous boss who suddenly showed vulnerability, would you still choose to protect him? Comment what your answer would be. The next morning, the sun rose over Los Angeles like it was trying too hard, too bright, too warm, too cheerful. It didn't match the heaviness sitting inside Jamin's chest as he stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his tie. His reflection looked the same. Flawless suit, controlled expression, cold eyes. Yet something was wrong. His mind kept replaying the same moment. Aaliyah, standing quietly under the soft office light, handing him the corrected files, whispering, "You don't have to fear me." Fear. The word hit him deeper than he wanted to admit. He wasn't afraid of people. People feared him. He controlled empires, silenced enemies, and ran an operation so tight it made the LAPD sweat. But her presence last night had made something inside him tremble, just slightly. A shift he couldn't shake. He straightened his shoulders, pushing away the unfamiliar feeling. "Focus," he muttered to himself. He had a meeting with the board. He had to figure out who was sabotaging their accounts. And he had to do it without letting some woman, no matter how smart, no matter how beautiful, get into his head. He grabbed his keys. Time to be Jae-min Park again. Meanwhile, Aaliyah was having her own kind of morning. She'd barely slept. Her mind raced all night, not from fear, but from confusion. She'd expected every possible reaction from him the night before. Anger, accusations, even threats. But he just froze. It was as if her small act of protection had pushed him off balance. And the way his eyes softened, just for a second, had left her heart beating entirely too fast. But she couldn't afford to get emotionally entangled with her boss. Especially not this boss. He was distant, intense, dangerous in a way she couldn't yet define. She took a deep breath and walked into Park Holdings with her usual calmness. Several employees glanced at her, some with curiosity, some with sympathy, others with fear for her. "Morning, Aaliyah," Emily whispered as she passed by. "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm good," she replied with a small smile. "You stayed late last night. Did he say anything?" Aaliyah hesitated. "No," she lied. "He just checked in." She didn't want to explain the moment that happened. She barely understood it herself. She reached her office, sat down, and opened her laptop. Her inbox had one new message marked urgent. It was from the internal audit department. "We received a report that you accessed restricted ledgers last night. Please explain this activity immediately." Her stomach dropped. Someone had reported her, but who? Her hands trembled slightly as she typed a calm reply. "The CEO authorized the review. Please direct any follow-up to him." She hit send, exhaled slowly, and tried to steady herself. She wasn't afraid, but she felt the shift. Someone didn't want her near those numbers. Someone wanted her gone. Upstairs, the atmosphere inside the executive boardroom was strangled with tension. The board members sat stiffly, watching Jamin like they were waiting for him to explode. "We received your report," Mr. Vaughn began, "about the internal tampering. We need to act quickly," another added. "We should shut down." "Shut nothing down," Jamin said sharply. Silence fell immediately. This sabotage isn't random. Someone inside knows exactly where to strike. We keep operations running as usual. We observe. We wait. And then we find the traitor. "But what if they strike again?" Vaughn asked nervously. "They will," Jamin answered flatly. "Traitors always do." Vaughn swallowed. "And the new analyst, Ms. Carter. Do you still want her on this project?" That question hit him harder than expected. His first instinct was to say no, to push her away, to return to the safety of his emotional walls. But another image appeared in his mind. Her soft voice, unafraid. Her hands steady as she held his financial destruction like it was something she could fix. Her saying, "I covered it." She was the only reason he even knew the sabotage wasn't an accident. "She stays," he said quietly. The room went still. "But sir," Vaughn started. "She stays," Jamin repeated, sharper this time. Arguments died on their tongues. For the rest of the meeting, He kept his expression cold, but inside, something tugged at his ribs. Tension? Guilt? Curiosity? He wasn't sure. When the meeting ended, he headed toward her office without even thinking. Aaliyah looked up from her screen when she heard footsteps. She froze for half a second when she saw him standing at her door. He didn't knock. He simply entered, closing the door behind him with a soft click. Her breath caught. "Mr. Park," she said cautiously. "Is something wrong?" He didn't answer at first. He stood there, watching her with eyes that felt too sharp, too searching. Then he finally spoke. "Someone reported you to internal audit." Her eyebrows shot up. "So, it wasn't a system flag. It was a person?" His jaw clenched. "Someone in this building wants to remove you. That makes you a target." Aaliyah swallowed hard. "That's concerning." "More than concerning," he replied. "Dangerous." She folded her hands in her lap, trying to remain calm. "Why would anyone target me? I just got here." "Exactly," he said. "You're new. You're smart. You see things others ignore." He exhaled slowly, as though the next words were difficult. "And you saw something last night that someone didn't want you to see." Her pulse quickened. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." "You didn't," he said. "They did." His voice was low, controlled, but beneath it was something darker. Fury. Then he took a step closer. "You should have told me immediately." "I didn't want to bother you," she admitted. His eyes flashed. "You don't bother me." The words slipped out before he could stop them. Aaliyah blinked, surprised. He stiffened, realizing what he'd just revealed. He straightened his shoulders, regaining his cold posture. "I'm reassigning you," he said abruptly. Her face fell. "Wait, what? You're firing me?" "No." He spoke the word so fast it startled both of them. "I'm moving you to the secured floor. You'll work directly under me until we find the traitor." Her breath stopped. Directly under him. "That seems excessive," she whispered. "It's necessary." "For my safety or yours?" she asked softly. For a moment, he didn't answer. His eyes held hers, quiet, intense, unreadable. "Both," he finally said. Something fluttered deep in her chest, unexpected and unwelcome. He turned to leave, but paused by the door. "And Aaliyah, yes. Don't stay late alone anymore." Her heart thudded. "Is that an order?" she asked. He hesitated, only slightly. "Yes." When he left, her pulse was still unsteady. By afternoon, she was relocated to an office 3 doors down from his. It was larger, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The move created waves of gossip. Why is she being moved? Did she do something? Is the CEO interested in her? What if she's the one sabotaging us? The last whisper stung. Aaliyah kept her head high. She had work to do, and the numbers wouldn't fix themselves. But the anxiety grew when she caught Vaughn watching her with something sharper than skepticism. It looked almost like fear. "Need something?" she asked him politely. He forced a smile. "Just checking in. We didn't expect Mr. Park to elevate you so quickly." Elevate. The word felt wrong. "I'm just doing my job," she replied. "Yes," he said, tone dropping. "You certainly are." He walked away, but her stomach twisted. Something about him felt off. Upstairs in his office, Jamin couldn't focus. Every time he tried reading a document, his mind drifted. He could sense her presence through the walls, her soft footsteps, the turning of her chair, the light rhythm she hummed when concentrating. Her presence was calm, warm, the opposite of everything his life had become. He hated how aware he was of her. He pinched the bridge of his nose. "She's just an employee," he muttered. "She's here to solve a problem. That's it." But the problem wasn't just the sabotage. It was the way she made him feel, like his walls weren't made of steel after all. He was still lost in thought when his right-hand man, Min Suk, entered without knocking. "You've been distracted," Min Suk said bluntly. "I'm working," Jae-min replied. "You're thinking," Min Suk corrected. "And it's because of her." Jamin shot him a glare. Min Suk didn't flinch. "She's different," he continued. "Everyone can see you're affected." Jamin stood abruptly. "Drop it." But Min Suk stepped closer. "You avoided black women for 11 years, Hyung. 11. Now you're protecting one. Put her on your floor." Moving her closer. His voice softened. "Who is she to you?" Jamin's throat tightened. "She's a threat," he said. Min Suk looked startled. "To you? To everything." He turned away. She makes me remember things I buried. Min Suk fell silent. Then he spoke gently. She isn't Agent Reeves, Hyung. Jamin shut his eyes. I know, he whispered, but my heart doesn't. At 5:18 p.m., Aaliyah's phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. Leave the building. Tonight changes everything. Her entire body went cold. She looked around. No one noticed her reaction. She tried to breathe through the rising fear. Should she tell him? She stared at his closed office door. Her feet moved before her mind caught up. She knocked softly. Yes, his voice called. She entered. He looked up instantly, sensing something in her expression. What happened? He asked. She handed him her phone. He read the message. His entire face changed. The calm CEO disappeared. The Mafia air emerged. Aaliyah, he said quietly, pack your things. What? What? You're leaving with me. Now. Her heart pounded. Mr. Park. No arguments, he said firmly. Someone in this building just declared war. He grabbed his jacket, walked to her, and placed a protective hand on her back. Stay close to me, he said in a low voice. She looked up at him, trembling. Am I in danger? She whispered. His jaw flexed. I won't let anything happen to you. The elevator doors opened, and for the first time in his life, he wasn't afraid of the black woman beside him. He was afraid of losing her. The building was quiet after hours, the kind of silence that only came when fear lived inside the walls. Most employees rushed home the moment the clock hit 5. Nobody wanted to accidentally bump into Jae-min Park when he was in his late-night mood. Cold, calculating, dangerous. But Aaliyah, she stayed. She stayed because she had discovered something that could destroy everything. And she stayed because she refused to let someone frame her. Again, files that weren't supposed to exist. The office lights flickered as Aaliyah stared at the screen. Her heart thumped steadily, not in fear, but in deep, firm focus. There it was, a fake transaction chain in Jamin's private accounts. Someone was building a case against him. Someone from the inside. Any other accountant would have run to the police, or to HR, or to the press. But Aaliyah simply whispered, whoever you are, you picked the wrong woman. Her fingers danced across the keyboard as she corrected the numbers, tracked the edits, and erased the digital footprints without exposing Jamin. She saved him, even though he had been nothing but cold to her. She saved him because it was the right thing to do, not because she owed him anything. He sees her differently for the first time. Jamin emerged from the elevator at exactly 11:43 p.m. He walked with that sharp, confident rhythm, the one that made even the security guards look down. But when he reached the hallway, he stopped. Aaliyah's light was still on. He approached, expecting incompetence or snooping or fear. But instead, he found her sitting upright, focused, face illuminated in a glow of determination. She didn't notice him, and he stood there, watching her. For the first time, he didn't see Dana Reeves, the FBI agent who destroyed his family. He saw Aaliyah, her strength, her discipline, her intelligence. Something warm and unexpected twisted in his chest. He hated the feeling, but he couldn't leave. Their first real conversation. Aaliyah, he said. She jumped slightly, hand on her chest. Sir, you scared me. His voice was gentler than usual, still cold, but softer at the edges. You're here late. I had something to finish. He stepped closer, close enough to breathe in her subtle vanilla scent. What exactly were you finishing? She hesitated. Jamin's voice dropped, low and sharp. Aaliyah. So she told him. Not everything, just enough. There were inconsistencies in the company accounts, she said calmly. I handled it. Handled it, he repeated, eyes narrowing. Yes. You should have reported it, he said. I didn't, she replied. Because I'm not here to embarrass you. I'm here to do my job. Her steady voice pierced something in him. You're not afraid of me, he murmured. No, she said honestly. If I was afraid, I wouldn't be here. Her honesty hit him harder than any bullet. The night he lost control, he watched her gather her things. She clearly wanted to go home, but he wanted her to stay, and that confused him more than anything in his life. Whoever tried to set you up, they'll try again, she said. Whoever it is, he replied darkly, will be dealt with. She swallowed, but she didn't back away when he stepped closer. He noticed her shaky breath, but she wasn't afraid. She was aware of him, and he was too aware of her. "This situation puts you in danger," he said. "I'll be fine," she whispered. "No." His voice deepened, protectiveness overtaking logic. "I won't let anything happen to you." She blinked, stunned. Jamin didn't protect anyone. Not like this. Not with that tone. She tried to laugh it off. "Sir, I'm just an accountant." "No," he said. "You're not just anything." The room felt warmer. The distance between them smaller. Her breath hitched. His eyes darkened. For the first time in years, he wanted someone, and he hated himself for it. The ride home. "I'll take you home," he said. "It's okay," she replied. "I'll get Aaliyah." One word. Firm. Final. She didn't argue again. The drive was silent but charged. Her perfume filled the car. Her presence softened the leather interior Jamin never cared about until now. He asked her questions, small ones but gently. Where she lived. If she liked her job. If anyone was waiting for her at home. "No one," she said. He didn't know why that made him relieved. The moment that changed him. When they reached her building, she stepped out but paused. "Thank you for the ride." Jamin didn't answer. He was staring at her. The yellow streetlight washed over her skin, warm and glowing. Her curls framed her face beautifully. Her eyes shimmered with honesty. Something slipped out of him. Something he had never said to any woman. "You're different." Aaliyah blinked, shocked. Before she could reply, he added, "And I don't know what to do about it." He left her standing there, breathless, confused, and shaken. And he drove off faster than he intended, because if he stayed another second, he would have pulled her into his arms. That night, Jamin couldn't sleep, not even for a minute. He kept replaying her words, her scent, her bravery. And for the first time in 11 years, he whispered to himself. Maybe they were wrong about her, but someone else was watching them. Someone who saw her get into his car. Someone who took photos. And those photos were going to destroy everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more dramatic, romantic, shocking stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Love you all. See you in the next one.